to another episode of You'll Only Listen Twice.
No, you don't get to do that. You don't get an intro this time. Fuck you.
You've crossed the line. You've crossed the line, Jake.
We are rising up.
Oh, no.
Settle down.
Hey, I'm trying to regain control over here. We're regaining control over here.
No.
This is You'll Only Listen
They made
Twice,
us watch Casino
a Bond
Royale, and I
podcast.
said nothing. They made us watch OK Connery, and I said nothing. They made us watch Live and Let Die, and I said nothing. They made us watch Never Say Never Again, and I said nothing. Then I watched A View to a Kill, and there was no one to say anything for me because we all watched it.
Now they've come for me.
Well, now you've all watched it. You've all fallen into my trap. And in case this is your first episode, this is You'll Only Listen Twice, our Bond podcast where we're taking a look at all the Bond films, both official and unofficial. And yeah, we should start off with introductions. I'm Jake, the architect of all your pain.
I'm Troy, and I've unfortunately seen this movie almost 3 times.
And I hate you, Jake. I'm starting to think that this whole podcast was just an excuse so that we would get to this godforsaken thing.
I'm surprised that this is the one that made you guys pull a mutiny and not Never Say Never Again.
Well, it's been building. But yeah, my name is Jan, by the way. I fucking hate my life. Introduce yourself, Paul.
Hi. I don't hate you, Jake. I'm just disappointed.
Hey, if I'm gonna be the only one dancing in the fire alone tonight, so be it. And as you gathered, we're here to talk about A View to a Kill.
What a view to a kill.
Dance
Into
the fire.
Into the
Fire.
fire.
Is all we need. Dance. Roger Moore's on a fire thing.
I miss Never Say Never Again.
This makes Never Say Never Again look like GoldenEye.
Yeah,
This is false. This is fake news. You guys are wrong. I was watching this earlier and I'm going oh, this has all the stuff that we were liking about some of the Roger Moore films.
What?
I can't wait to discuss this.
What the
And
fuck?
then all of a sudden Jen texts going I want to kill myself. And I'm like, shit.
And I send a picture of myself chain smoking.
And then Troy's like, I already knew. Jake, this movie doesn't have the monomyth. You can't fool me.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
No.
James Bond heroically saves what's her name from.
What does that have to do with the monomyth?
Troy is like the meme with the butterfly. He's like, whenever he sees a movie he likes, he's like, is this a monomyth? Whenever he sees one he doesn't like, it's not a monomyth.
That's why I'm the king of Hollywood.
No, but this tracks with the monomyth theory. This is fully bringing James Bond. Well, if we're viewing James Bond in the tradition of traditional heroes.
I know he's bringing him home to your home, Jake, but that's not James Bond's home.
Yes. So I may have been born in San Francisco and raised around the San Francisco Bay Area, but that is not why I'm an ardent defender of this movie.
I smell bullshit.
And I realize also many Bond fans consider this to be one of the worst James Bond movies of all time.
It objectively is.
It is.
But hey, we've had precedents of going Man with the Golden Gun. Hey, it's actually not that bad, and we
it has
like
fun
that.
stuff.
We're just
Yeah.
because it's fun. A View to a Kill is also
Jake,
fun.
look at the titles. Look at the titles. The Man with the Golden Gun is about a man with a golden gun. That's fun. That's cool. He's played by Christopher Lee. This movie's about A View to a Kill. That means nothing. That is worthless. That is nothing.
The view is the beautiful view of Silicon Valley in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh my God.
To a kill.
What a view to a kill.
Because he's going to flood Silicon Valley by draining the lakes around and flooding the fault lines.
I was also thinking when Grace Jones is like, what a view, and he's like, to a kill. I'm like, that makes no sense. I'm like,
What a view to a kill.
It makes absolutely no sense, but that's the kind of movie that we're dealing with. That's why this is fun. This is in the same camp of Die Another Day in the so bad it's good
Absolutely
James
not.
Bond films. This is why you're mistaken. We begin the movie with James Bond snowboarding with I Wish I Could Be California Girls in the background.
Okay. The first 15 to 20 minutes of this movie, I actually think is really good. Then when he gets to the fucking barn, it's horrible. Like,
Really? You like the horse race?
No, you're just poo-pooing this because of Patrick Macnee. You just hate the Avengers and the fact that the Avengers are being brought up in a James Bond movie. I say nay.
I mean, I do.
I
but
allow these elderly people to come
Like
in.
a horse.
Horse. I say Winnie.
I say nay.
Jake, let me just put it this way. This is the first James Bond movie they had to put a disclaimer in front of. It was so bad.
I was gonna ask because I watched this on VHS and I was like, did you guys also get that weird disclaimer of like Max Zorin is not a real person, don't get scared?
Yeah, no, they're like this Zorin Industries has no relation to any sort of similarly named industry. And there is a company called Zorin Industries that they put that disclaimer in for.
Because that company makes microchips.
Yes, and it has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
The CEO of Zoran Industries is not a ex-KGB agent who has gone rogue.
Bred as part of a eugenics experiment.
A Nazi genetics experiment.
It was still very funny because I don't know, it felt like Albert Broccoli just going like, don't worry, Max Zorin's not real. He cannot hurt you.
He cannot hurt.
Yes, but should we get into there's not a lot of production stuff.
They just kind of made it, right? Like it's
Yeah,
Trying to think, did anyone get killed? No.
no one got killed, but I do have some interesting.
And if they were killed, was there a viewing of that killing?
if they were killed, it was worth it for this movie.
Yes, no, it was worth. In my opinion, I mean, most Bond fans may not agree. You guys may not agree, but I think so.
I mean, the only really interesting stuff I found about like the behind the scenes was, besides the on-set tension, which is in the film, the casting stuff. But do we just want to do the casting stuff when we get to like
Yeah,
Zorin
sure.
and Stacey?
I actually don't have anything about casting, so Troy, if you want to.
Well, the elephant in the room with A View to a Kill was they really wanted this movie to be androgynous rock stars as bad guys. So they wanted David Bowie and Grace Jones. There's some debate over when David Bowie said no. I read somewhere that they may have announced he was playing Max Zorin.
No, they did. They did announce that he was playing Max Zorin.
But David Bowie said, nope, this script is too workmanlike and not worth my time. It sucks. This is going to be a bad movie. I'm not.
I don't
going
want
to
my
be
stunt double falling off of cliffs as I'm just sitting there doing nothing. I think is something what he's.
Oh yeah, I think he said that too.
What?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be an actor. Like, what the fuck?
What movie did David Bowie make instead? Was this around the time he made like what's the John Landis movie where he's like an assassin or something? Wasn't that around this time?
I don't know.
Labyrinth
No,
was the year
John
before.
Landis is the assassin. You're getting confused.
Oh, you're right. You're right. John
right.
Landis. He danced into the fire quite a bit.
This is off mic, but we do need Calvin's clout. But if we've learned anything from our Lord and Savior, Mr. Walker, whose full name we will never say on this podcast.
What are you
we have
talking
to
about?
beef with
You mean the nostalgia critic? The one where his theme song is
Why are we talking about all these fake friends? We all know our best friends are the Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, right.
People.
right,
They're
right.
our
We're
Yeah.
best friends. Calvin Dyson is our sworn enemy, and we're beefing with him. So
Well,
if you
no,
like us,
because the Ned's Declassified people think Calvin Tyson is Drake Bell. So we have to hate
okay,
him.
we can work this. We can work the angles here.
Do not sympathize with the enemy. Now, the guy from the Bond experience, that guy's cool. He should
Yeah.
come on the podcast.
Yeah, no, he's great. No, Calvin, we're not going to leave any of this in the episode, so don't worry, Calvin.
Yeah, it's okay. All of this is going to be bleeped and it's going to be almost unintelligible.
Yeah, we're all
Yeah.
going to be talking over each other and saying vile, awful things. But also, Paul may just cut this out, right?
Like, Calvin,
yeah.
Calvin, we know you watch the show. We're like the only ones that do this. Come on the show. We'll give you chocolate. I'll give you cigarettes. Jake will give you vodka. It'll be a good time.
I have some basil hate on toast that I haven't drinking in like over 6 months, and I'm gonna have a swig of this right now because we're talking about this. I'm the only one.
Liquid courage before you defend a view to a kill.
Jake, like, I fucking loved this. I don't know why you people didn't like it. It was so good.
Okay, so so we were talking about David Bowie. David Bowie was going to be Mag Zorin. One point in this movie, but he declined respectfully. So we have Oscar-winning actor Christopher Walken.
Smart piggy. Oink, oink.
Another Christopher in this Roger Moore as a Roger Moore villain.
The first Oscar-winning actor to choose to be part of James Bond.
Wow.
After his good win. For him.
This might be. Well, I'll save my judgment for Christopher later.
Gonna say,
I love him.
I will say, while we're talking about why they came on the movie, Christopher Walken apparently did this because he was like a devoted follower of Robert Shaw. Like, he's like, I was in his theater company. I loved him in From Russia with Love. I want to do what Robert Shaw did.
But he wasn't like a big heavy, though. He wasn't like, I mean, he is the heavy, but he's not like the secondary heavy, you know? He's the main heavy.
Christopher Walken looking in the mirror, seeing how skinny he is, crying that he'll never be Red Grant.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, you replaced like this hunk with like this Rumpelstiltskin looking person, basically.
He met Dolph Lundgren, and everyone just keeps calling Dolph Lundgren Red Grant on set, and Christopher Walken's like crying.
He's like crying.
I'll never be him. Oh, do you want the other bit of casting that's slightly relevant to people who follow Kernan cinema?
Shoot, Denny.
The role of Stacey Sutton was supposed to be for Priscilla Presley.
Oh.
But she couldn't get out of her contract with Dallas.
That would have been cool.
It would have added an extra scene to the new movie.
Yeah,
I guess.
The only man more terrifying than Elvis is, hi, I'm Roger Moore, and I'm 400 years old.
Now I'm just imagining Jake arriving to the Priscilla, like, opening day with a View to a Kill t-shirt.
So Sophia Coppola should cast the Roger Moore as like a 9 foot tall guy.
I do think it's telling. This movie's fatal flaw is there was no debate about replacing Roger Moore, because they debated replacing him on the last 2 movies, and with this one they went, who cares? When maybe someone should have cared.
I do have a take for this.
Oh no.
Oh, you do?
I'm going to say
you with a take on this movie?
Shockingly, yes. So I was reading my Big Black Bond book, and it does mention, so they filmed in Paris. They had some trouble getting permits, but in San Francisco, the mayor at the time, Dianne Feinstein.
Chocolate. I remember when they first invented chocolate. Sweet, sweet chocolate. I always hated it.
Who's very much alive in 2021 and not dead. So
yes, she's still awaiting trial at the Hague. She'll face justice someday.
So Dianne Feinstein gives carte blanche to film whatever they want in San Francisco, unprecedented access to filming throughout the city, including setting the historic City Hall on fire.
Oh, I've heard about this. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, they did like it's still a fake fire, but apparently, according to my Black Bond book, they didn't quote this, but they said that Dianne Feinstein quoted like, half the people in this town want to burn down City Hall anyway, so might as well let James Bond do it.
Again, we should remember Dianne Feinstein, who is still alive, and remember, she's not showing contempt for you because she's sick or old. She is showing contempt for you, the voter, because she has always hated you.
Hey, she's showing as much rigor as Roger Moore does in this movie.
Roger Moore would be a great senator. He just would sit around and go, well, I don't know about this defense, Bill. The only defense I need is that the woman, it was a Thursday and it was a cheat day. Now
I think of it, when you have like Dianne Feinstein like with her granddaughter like literally pulling her arm up to vote, I'm like, she is the Roger Moore of the Senate. They're like puppeting her.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, can you imagine being like such a terrible late stage senator that people would be roasting you after you died on a James Bond podcast? Brutal, Diane. Anyway.
No, but it's 2021. She's still alive anyway. So yeah, she made that quip. And also the scene features a civil servant being gunned down mercilessly inside City Hall. And this was 6 years after Mayor Moscone and Harvey Milk were assassinated by Dan White in City Hall. They asked Dianne Feinstein if they could host the premiere of A View to a Kill in San Francisco on May 22nd, 1985. And Dianne Feinstein declared, "Today is James Bond Day." And it would have been Harvey Milk's 55th birthday.
Aww.
In a movie where a civil servant gets shot in San Francisco City Hall, yeah, she declared James Bond Day on Harvey Milk's birthday.
So the disclaimer, we start with a disclaimer.
Yeah, so we start with a disclaimer saying, we've already talked about this, but...
Zorin Industries and Meg Zorin should not be confused with any existing people with a similar name.
And then we get to the James Bond gun barrel, as always. And after that, we are in Siberia, and Bond is investigating a dead body that has some sort of microchip inside of a locket. And the Russians do not like this, and they chase him, and he skis, and he also jumps onto a jet ski, and the jet ski blows up, and he gets onto a piece of it and starts snowboarding to the Beach Boys.
Okay, Jake, when I was watching this pre-title sequence, I was like, Jake is right. This movie's great.
Yeah, no, like, solid
intrigued.
opening. Like, you may think it's dumb because the Beach Boys are playing with him.
I thought it was awesome.
It's
a
hilarious.
bold
It's great.
pivot. I mean, even from Octopussy, John Glenn being like, we're going to have this extended ski sequence. The score is going to be blasting. It's then going to stop. California Girls is going to play. And then once it's done, the score is just going to turn back on.
Yeah. No, it's great. No, and it's like a beach party movie where he's just like, you know, the Russians are trying to get him and then they're like falling off their skis and like into the water, shaking their fists.
It's like a beach party movie for one scene.
Yeah, no, it's great. Like, honestly, I'm all for this because there are two kinds of Bond movies. Ones that are actually good and the ones that are bad and ridiculous, and they embrace being bad and ridiculous. And this is fully embracing the latter right here.
No, but in order to be ridiculous, it has to be bringing something new to the table. And I've seen Roger Moore on these goddamn skis goddamn too often. And I'm watching this and I'm like, oh, they're out of ideas. And then the Beach Boys start playing and he's surfing. And if there's anything I have learned from watching every James Bond movie is that the second James Bond starts surfing, time to get a new James Bond.
No.
If he hits those
False.
skis in water, get him out of here.
I was ready to defend this movie to the death with this pre-title. I was like, yep, this is gonna be awesome, isn't it? And then
It just
It's
dies.
like, you know, you might be a teenager who's like going like, the James Bond movies are a serious franchise and we should pay respect to the indelible impact that they've had on action cinema and cinema as a whole.
was this you?
Well, maybe. But then you grow out of that and you go like, these movies are either good or really stupid. And then you go like, and then you start to embrace when they get really stupid.
But they have to be fun and stupid.
Yeah.
Yes. Are you saying Troy's keeping track of all the times Roger Moore has snowboarded with the Beach Boys playing in the background? And he's going like, this doesn't live up to...
It doesn't. Remember Spy Who Loved Me when he shot someone with a ski?
Well, that movie's better.
Well, yeah, no one's denying that movie's better, but I'm telling you.
Oh, look, it's a solid opening, and he gets in a submarine that's shaped like a little block of ice, and it's got a
Yeah.
British flag, the Jack, so you know what it is from a mile away.
And then this the little iceberg like drives off. It's so cute.
And there's a lady spy in there, and she's like, James, did you get the thing? And he's like, I got it.
And it's got the couch, it's got the love seat and everything.
Yeah.
Everything about this is like the end
Yeah.
of a movie that you haven't seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which is when the Bond sequence, like the pre-title sequences are their best, when it feels like a contained little movie where he does like a fun action scene, no matter how ridiculous. And then he goes in, lady's there, They have a good time, have a glass of champagne, and then you're off to the races, and you're off to the horse races, if that matter.
I really appreciate how they keep his face hidden for most of this pre-title sequence because they're trying to like hide how old he is.
Well, they have to hide. It's not. Roger Moore is probably in only like 3 shots of this pre-title sequence.
In this entire movie. Yeah.
They still have the cringe rear projection, but there's just less shots of it, you know.
Yeah.
You know how it was building up to one of my theories about this movie? This movie, one of the reasons why I like it is that it's a very fun midlife crisis movie.
Okay, Jake, now you're turning into Troy. And now you're coming in with the nonsense theories.
Well, no, here's the thing.
First you're like, I'm a child and I love this. Now you're like, I'm 50 and I love this. And it's
here's the thing is that like his age is a factor in this, and they're just going like, how do we counteract with that? We make this the most propulsive, like each action scene is just like, we're gonna make it as ridiculous as possible. And they also do their time, have their time in actually cutting to Roger Moore reacting. Like whenever it's a stunt double doing something, they always have a reaction shot where he's inside the action.
What does that prove?
Giving him more to do.
Jake, are you sitting here and telling me this movie is good because it has reaction shots in the middle of action?
It's like Martin Scorsese defending Birth of a Nation.
That's not the only thing, but it helps. You guys are just ageist. You guys are just ageist against Roger Moore at this point.
This is the oldest Bond has ever been, I
Yes,
believe.
it is.
Older than David Niven in Casino Royale, where he was playing a World War I veteran in the 1960s. Roger Moore is older than him.
Okay, I noticed, because much like last week's film with Sean Connery, it's like the older they get, it's like out of defiance. The filmmakers are like, the character becomes more athletic the older they get.
That's exactly what I'm saying. No, Paul, you've articulated what I'm trying to say.
But then you should love Never Say Never Again by that logic.
Yeah, well, by that logic, but it doesn't have
the reaction shots.
It doesn't have the reaction shots. No,
well, it doesn't have the gun barrel, Jan.
Well, here's the thing: is that the story of Never Say Never Again goes nowhere. Is that they introduce themes that they don't explore. This defiantly goes nowhere, and it's like a traditional James Bond movie, and that's what makes it fine. Is that it doesn't try to go like, this is an older Bond, this is like something, and then like they peter off and don't talk about it. Unlike Never Say Never Again, this movie is just like, this is just a James Bond movie.
You started your point with saying this movie is about an aging Bond. And now you're like, this movie defiantly is not about an aging Bond.
Yeah, because it doesn't mention it. I'm pretty consistent in my thinking, because if you're going to talk about Bond being old, you better follow through on it instead of being a remake of Thunderball. This time, they're not even concerned with bringing up that issue. He's just doing James Bond shit the entire time.
What you're saying is it's less than nothing.
So it makes it better.
And that's what makes it beautiful. And you guys don't understand.
Jake, you're going into your Doug Walker voice.
It looks like Vegas. Why does it look like Vegas?
You sound like a schizophrenic in Hollywood Boulevard. You are not making any sense.
Hey, I'm fucking dancing into the fire right now.
No,
I gotta say,
I salute you. I gotta commend you to how fiercely you're defending yourself, I guess.
Jay, I'm just saying, I'm looking at your pie chart, your bulletin board of all your Post-it notes, and I'm comparing it to my pie chart with a bulletin board full of Post-it notes, and I'm just not seeing that many Post-it notes there, young man.
Yeah.
Get more string.
Troy's wall is filled with like Joseph Campbell and shit, and then Jake's wall is just filled with pictures of old people doing cool things.
I have a superimposed blow-up of Scaramanga's third nipple that says "Descent into Hell?" ? And all you have is like Roger Moore standing up with only one crutch.
Yeah, like a grandma snowboarding.
Hey, and he even gets grandma's sunglasses later in the movie. But I think I'm just getting started. We're getting into the title sequence, which is one of the best James Bond songs ever made.
Oh yeah, no, I love the song. I love the song.
Song's great.
The title sequence is mid.
Yeah, the title sequence itself sucks.
It's kind of cool.
Well, no, I'm gonna give it some points because for the first time in like 15 years of Bond, there is a different technique being used, which is blacklight, and it's not just
but
a
it looks like
hodgepodge
crap.
of other things.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. It doesn't look that cool.
Again, I'll take it over some of the other title sequences that we've had.
Oh, you and your on your Majesty's Secret Service hate, you motherfucker.
That's right. Sorry, graphic design students.
This is how desperate things have gotten, is that I'm actually on Paul's side with defending this pre-title sequence, which usually Paul is never right about. But
Well,
Are you saying on Her Majesty's Secret Service is like the graphic design is my passion?
yes. I forgot to say that when we recorded it.
Wait, you're saying that is graphic design is my passion over A View to a Kill, where they literally have the Roger Moore graphics from For Your Eyes Only, but they shoot little like lasers out that are just straight lines across
but
the
it's
screen.
cool. We already had that in Octopussy. Octopussy,
But
they did
Octopussy
that.
was cool because the hands were like wrapping around and the women were like sensuous, where here the women are like raving, and it just is like the weirdest rave with a Roger Moore shooting. I love the song.
It goes
The song
with
is
the
great,
song.
listeners.
I don't have a problem with the intro sequence.
This is the only Bond song to chart at #1 in the United States. Is this one?
Nice.
Yeah, like I was saying. Well, also the song happens to be like the second best known like James Bond song outside of Live and Let Die.
Wait, I
think so.
don't know if I'd go that far.
Okay, we're done. Before Skyfall.
What about Carly Simon?
Carly Simon is #3.
You like this more than Nobody Does It Better? Really?
No, but it's the best known.
I do.
Like, because if you go on any rock station, they'll start playing this song.
No, but if you listen to any 80s station, I heard For Your Eyes Only as a kid get way more airplay than A View to a Kill.
Well, you didn't grow up in the San Francisco Bay Area. So.
All right, but you guys have all been poisoned by Diane Feinstein and her James Bond day into loving A View to a Kill.
Jake, you drank too much fluoride, and that's why this is good.
The Bay just has subliminal devices that goes, you love A View to a Kill in Vertigo. You love A View to a Kill in Vertigo. And it's like, shut up. No, but this is cool. It's a good song. Did you hear the story of how Duran Duran, how they got the song? The bassist, John Taylor, I don't remember his name. He went up to Albert Broccoli at a party and he's like, when are you going to get someone decent to do one of your songs?
Yeah, no, I was watching the Sound of 007 and he was talking about that. He was just like, yeah, no, the last couple songs kind of sucked. When are you going to get something with like pep? And they're just like, well, we're doing the midlife crisis Bond movie with 55-year-old Roger Moore. So
that's not what he said.
We need to have a little bit of...
This is not the bit. No, Albert Broccoli was like, we're going to make one of the deliberately stupid Bond movies that you're going to love as a child, and then as an adult, you are still going to cling to your love for this movie, even though nothing happens in it.
Hey, I changed my... Troy, keep in mind, I liked Live and Let Die as a kid. I completely changed my thoughts on it over the course of this podcast.
Well, because Live and Let Die is a racist hate crime.
From not liking it to loving it again.
No, A View to a Kill was like, I went in going like, oh crap, am I gonna like eat my words for defending this movie all this time? And I watched it, I'm like, fuck nah, man.
One other thing that is different about this movie, Moneypenny has a hat.
Moneypenny has a whole outfit. Yes.
Yeah, no, and they do the same gag where the hat rack is right next to the door instead of across the way, so he can't throw the hat. And he sees that there's another hat on the hook.
It's a good hat.
He goes like, wait a second, this is like a fancy hat. Moneypenny is now dressed as a flower enthusiast from the Manchurian Candidate for some reason.
Wait, because she's 80 now.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, it looks like she's wearing pajamas.
No. She looks like she's, it's not strawberry shortcake. No, you know what? Maybe it is strawberry shortcake. The original one, not the hip upgraded one.
I gotta say, watching this on VHS makes the experience, I don't know if better or worse, because the low quality erases a lot of Roger Moore's wrinkles, so he doesn't look as old as like if I watch it in 4K.
Well, even watching it in 4K on Vudu, it does seem like he had like one of those procedures from Brazil where they like stretched his face a little bit. He's being held together by Elmer's glue and scotch tape at this point.
Yeah, he comes in looking like Donatella Versace. It's like, hello, Money Penny.
Siskel and Ebert called it out, Troy.
Yeah, they call it on their review. They're like, he got a procedure to stretch his face.
Because he definitely, that chin, the turkey gobble is not there.
Yeah, that's
tight.
gone. And I was like, I was missing it because I remember in Octopussy, I was thinking like, I want to play with it so badly, and here it wasn't there.
That's gonna be your stress ball.
Yeah.
Octopussy got us horny for Roger Moore, and now this movie has just taken away all his sex material. It's taken away his buccal fat.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say also, I think maybe they finally embraced the modern age of movie lighting. It's not lit like a 1950s movie with really harsh light that would bring out the wrinkles. It's a little more natural, a little.
Yeah, marginally.
So it's a little softer, you know.
Question while we're talking about Roger Moore's looks. So we just saw Sean Connery in Never Say Never Again. Do we think Roger Moore looks older than Sean Connery in Never Say Never Again in his last outing? Or interesting. I think he still has a naturally youthful face. It's just his body and his hair are just
everything.
It's almost like Roger Moore has like a grandpa old energy, and Sean Connery has this like drunk uncle old energy. You know what I mean?
That's actually a very succinct way of putting it. Yeah.
The sexier of the two is the drunk uncle energy. You don't want sexy grandpa. You want sexy drunk uncle.
Roger Moore is aging in this elegant way, and Sean Connery's just turning into an orangutan.
Yeah. That's one way to say it, but I that's why I think it's pretty funny in this movie, or pretty fun.
I don't know what exactly is it that makes a debriefing scene with M good in these movies, because they're all the same. But
Bernard
like
Lee or Judi Dench.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but like this is not it. Like this
you
one
don't
is
like the
so
little robot?
like I was completely checked out during that whole scene, and then I was like, why are there horses? Like what is happening? Like,
Well, we get to the debriefing scene, and Q has to explain what silicon microchips are.
Well, that's the best thing about the scene is that Q and M are in the briefing together, and M gets to neg Q and be like, we're all familiar with the microchip.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up,
Yeah,
Q.
shut up,
so
Q.
That's kind of funny.
Leave it to Robert Brown, the most like workman-like M to ever grace the silver screen.
this is supposed to be one of the silly Bond movies. It has no gadgets. Q's just there to explain what a fucking chip is.
He has a funny robot.
That's true. I forgot about the robot.
Before watching these movies again in order, everyone's always like, Q is there for the gadgets. But then you watch these movies again and you realize Q's just there for the fun. Like, sometimes he doesn't even need to work that day. He just loves coming into the office and hanging out with his friends.
He loves coming in and having playful banter with Bond.
Yeah, like in Octopussy, there's no reason why he's on the field. He just wanted to kill people.
He just likes hanging out with James Bond. There's like a missing movie where Q and James Bond like have to go shopping for like M's birthday present, and Bond's like, not this guy. Why'd you come along, Q? And Q's like, you're my only friend.
We do have that. It's called License to Kill.
Oh, that is true.
And never say never again.
Never say never
No,
again.
we're done talking about it. We're done.
But it's a better film.
Yeah, we're never mentioning it again.
Of Kevin McGlory.
I'll say this for Kevin McClory. Sure, he could only make Thunderball. But you know what? That's better than making A View to a Kill. So I'm giving Kevin 1.
You're making the bold claim that Thunderball is better than A View to a Kill.
Yes, it's a boring piece of shit, but it has linear storytelling.
But I want to know, speaking of weird music, I have not paid that much attention to the score in these movies, obviously, because I can't track the themes like you guys can. But this briefing scene has this weird, somber, thing going on.
No, usually during the briefing scenes, there is no score whatsoever. And yeah, no, I did notice that this time where they're actually bringing in a little bit of score with like, well, Max Zorin has microchips. Maybe he's the guy.
Like I'm telling you, like the disclaimer at the beginning is because they made Max Zorin too scary, and they were like, no, don't worry, he's not real.
He doesn't exist.
Christopher Walken.
It's only a movie. It's only a movie.
Max Zorin, the anti-communist who makes microchips, but he just bought that company that makes microchips.
I believe that Max Zorin is the main inspiration for Mac from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. How he's like anti-communist, communist, anti-communist. Like he keeps switching.
So what are you, a triple agent? Nah, I just lied about being a double.
He's a double agent.
Are you saying Mac was the product of like super soldiers having babies?
Maybe.
Is that you look at Ray Winstone in the Crystal Skull and you say
he's the guy with like 180 IQ made with like horse steroids.
Well, he's the genetic experiment that's better than us all.
Well, that would explain why he's hanging out with Allison Duty, but we'll get to that.
You have Christopher Walken and Grace Jones looking hip and sleek and cool, dressed up like people from the late 1800s. James Bond and all of his co-worker friends are on an outing together, all dressed in the late 1800s. Miss Moneypenny is like watching a horse race and going, "Move your bloomin' arse," which is a reference to My Fair Lady.
I was gonna say, it looks like My Fair Lady.
Yeah, and it's like, what? What are we doing here?
Well, that part I was enjoying. Like I said, I really started not liking it when they get to the barn.
No, all that's fun because it's just going like, okay, what's Max Zorin up to? The man with the cane?
No, it's good, Jen.
Yeah. Counterpoint, no. Nothing happens. It's so boring. They get there. He has like a butler called Tibbet.
Who is knighted. He is a knighted spy, and he's basically treating him like shit. As we've learned throughout the Bond movies, Bond really gets into cover. If he's supposed to be married to someone, he'll treat it like he's married to them.
He starts making love to Tibbet.
No, exactly. I was thinking that they were gonna just start fucking when they go into the palace, and then they're finding the bug and they set up the recording and they go about on the balcony. I'm like, oh, they're gonna start fucking right now.
I have to put this bug up your ass with my penis.
Well, the whole thing with Tibbet is this was the one interesting movie idea they had here. Is like, hey, what if this movie is a team up between James Bond and John Steed, who was the main spy on the Avengers, which was the show that Bond.
Which is why I think you
from.
guys hate this movie, because you guys are such Avengers fans.
Well, yeah, they treat him like shit.
Yeah. And then he dies.
Yeah, he gets killed in a car wash.
And I was like, I won my Avengers. I won my Uma Thurman and Ray
Sean
Fiennes.
Connery in a teddy bear outfit.
No, the director said that in his mind, he believes Sir Jeffrey Tibbet is John Steed. And it's fun seeing him and Bond bounce off each other, but the movie just doesn't care, and he leaves too early. And I'm like,
he gets killed by Mayday.
He gets killed in a car wash. He dies.
They kill a beloved Bristolian character.
I know. Bristol was never the same.
Yeah. That's when it started sucking.
Well, you guys are like shitting on Bristol, and then you guys are like, whoa, you don't fuck with Bristol now.
No. What we're saying is Bristol used to be a bright, prosperous society, and then they killed Tibbet, and now it's this third world shit.
Do you even know if Patrick Macnee is even from Bristol?
I have no idea.
I'm going to look this up. This is going to be the part in the podcast where, surprisingly, our conversation flows really well. But that's because someone has edited me out.
No, we're keeping it in. We always keep in Troy looking up shit.
Oh my God!
Wait, what?
Patrick Macnee is from Paddington, London, England.
So not Bristol.
Not Bristol. He's from Paddington.
He was like, oh my God, he's from London.
And it's always surprising to find out people are from London. Most people I know are from London, but like he is from London.
Yeah, he's from the London streets.
How do we feel about Bond and Moneypenny's flirting? Like how it's wrapping up?
Awful.
He might take her to dinner.
I will say that the wrap up on Bond and Moneypenny's flirting, especially since this is Lois Maxwell's last movie, is like it's virtually non-existent here. Because we got to make room for Tanya Roberts.
And like they had the perfect ending for Moneypenny in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And in this one, she just ends up like just by standing there.
No, she's like crying because she thinks Bond is dead because Bond hasn't called back in the service.
While he's getting his dick
by
wet.
some younger woman. Yeah.
Is that the ending of every actress who plays Moneypenny is crying over Bond? Does every Bond actress end
that's interesting. I think you're right. Maybe not what's her fucking name from the Pierce Brosnan.
Oh no, Samantha Bond is like imagining that she's having sex with Bond with virtual reality glasses.
Yeah, but she's sad about it because he's having sex with Halle Berry while she's having sex with him. That's like the saddest Moneypenny ending, I think.
Oh wait, no, Naomi Harris is crying over. Oh wait, never mind. Well, we haven't gotten there yet. I haven't seen this movie. I just had a brief flash that I watched. No Time to Die.
What are you talking about?
And I was like, that ending would have been bad. It was like a dream. Wow, that was weird. Is this what you feel like, Troy, when you have these like sudden brain blasts?
I feel like I need to make a point organically. It's time to bring up that what Lois Maxwell wanted them to do with Moneypenny. She's like, make me M. And Albert Broccoli was like, no, James Bond doesn't take orders from a woman. And then he's like, all right, kill me. And then Albert Broccoli like leaves. He's like,
you
nope.
won't even die. You will just be replaced by Caroline Bliss.
You either make me M or I'm gonna kill myself.
It worked in You'll Only Live Twice.
I was gonna say,
that woman became Kissy Suzuki. And
Broccoli's like, I've heard this one before.
We don't negotiate with terrorists. And discussion.
For Albert Broccoli, a woman asking for a higher wage is a terrorist.
Is a terrorist,
So Jake, tell me, please, why the fuck do you think these scenes in the barn are entertaining? They're the most boring thing ever.
Well, there's still an objective. Well, I think there's a clear objective to these scenes, is that they're trying to figure out, okay, Max Zorin is obviously a bad guy, and he's obviously fixing these races, and we need to figure out why. And we know that Sir Tibbet knows that there's something up with these horses because he's in with all like the high-end crowds, yet they don't recognize him being a valet or whatever. Who cares about that? This is a James Bond movie, a dumb James Bond movie.
I care how much they talk about eugenics.
There's actually, I'm actually curious as to how Max Zorin is winning these races and like what kind of shit are they going to find underneath his stable.
But it's so racist.
No, there's legitimate concern and like alarm with like, okay, what is up with this Max Zorin? We need to dig deeper into his stable to figure out everything. There's actual,
Jake.
like, it's not just James Bond, like, showing up to a place, like, going, like, oh, what do you do? I'm going to go up and go in France, and, hey, this is happening. It's just like, no, there's something up with these horses, and they meet a private investigator in the Eiffel Tower, and he gets murdered.
Oh, this is where the movie dies.
Jake, look at what you're saying. Look at what you're doing to Paul. You're killing him. You're killing Paul.
Well, this is a circuitous path, but I was going to say, I mean, I don't know if this is a hot take, but I mean, I enjoyed the skiing in the beginning, but to me, clearly the high point is all this Eiffel Tower stuff in the car thing.
Oh, that stuff's
so
great, yeah.
No, exactly. And this is my point, is that he's actually like influenced, like, oh, this man died right next to me by a poison butterfly, and by the fish hook.
Fish hook
and then,
with a butterfly.
and then he's chasing after Mayday, who we don't know is Mayday yet. He's chasing her throughout the Eiffel Tower, and there is an urgency as to figuring out what the fuck is going on. That is not there in some of the previous Bond movies. In For Your Eyes Only, he's like, yeah, no, I guess this guy is dead, but I'm going to hang out skiing for a bit. This time he's like, someone's drugging the horses. And he's like actually like interested in like finding out what the hell is happening. Who's killing this Frenchman? Who's killing this not Poirot?
You're the new Troy.
Old Troy wants to say something. We are at the restaurant scene where James Bond is talking to someone.
It's a French private investigator who knows what's going on with Max Zorin. He's like, I think I know what's going on. I am going to be on top of the case.
Okay, yeah, all right. My point is, she releases butterflies, and then frickin' Grace Joan walks in with a fishing rod, and like, woo, with the fishing rod is able to
great.
like,
yeah.
No, it's awful. She like stabs him in the face with a butterfly.
No, that's when it's goofy and fun. Then it becomes boring.
It's desperate. It's, what are we gonna do? killed by a butterfly on a fishing hook.
It doesn't make any sense, but it's kind of funny.
What's the joke? Where's the
Then
irony?
when Grace Jones catches James Bond with the fish hook and he fishes James Bond in the Eiffel Tower.
I wrote that in my notes too.
That's fun.
Yeah, like, and it's you don't even know how she catches them with the fishing line. She
gives him a wedgie with
Yeah.
a fishing rod. She gives him a wedgie with a fishing
Yes.
rod.
It's
But
And
come
I'm
on,
like,
there are more ridiculous things in like Man with the Golden Gun that you enjoy.
yeah, but they're fun. This is just a man being embarrassed. This is me just being embarrassed for this elderly gentleman.
this movie is a masterpiece, actually.
Well, I see these two scenes as a masterpiece. The rest of the movie is fucking awful.
Yeah, Jake, I saw you were sneaking that in and saying that was Jan's opinion.
Hey, no, but Jen was going like, "Hey, I'm into this," and yeah, no, because it works. Because you're actually invested in why the hell, what the hell's up with Max
I
Zorin?
never said that.
I never said I was invested in what was happening. I liked the image of a bloody fake butterfly on a guy's face, and then Roger Moore running up the Eiffel Tower for real, and then him driving that car with the pieces coming off, which is very funny and is so much more authentic and better executed than the entire last hour of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like regression back to like the 50s or something.
Guys, I just want to point out that the one Bond one-liner, possibly in this movie, the only memorable one is, "I believe he has a fly in his soup."
That's a good line.
I don't remember that.
It's not accurate as to what's happening, but it works.
Oh, and the butterfly.
Yeah, the scene where I get up, I put my hat on, I put on my coat, and I walk out.
Well, first of all, the car scene that follows, like, it's insane stunt when the car like flies up and lands on a moving bus.
No, that's great.
And the fact that it keeps cutting to a man that looks nothing like Roger Moore just makes it even better.
No, I will give them this. That the wig that they put on the stunt performers in this movie actually matches Roger Moore's hair. And I will give them credit where credit is due.
But no mole, so it's clearly not him.
Yeah, we should also mention there's no mole in this movie. Yeah, he got it removed.
Oh yeah, the mole's
I was gonna say,
gone.
was that just? I felt like this was a Mandela effect.
Yeah.
Was there never a mole?
Yeah, Roger Moore has been working diligently to erase all trace of the mole. Where's Jake going? Come back here. You're in here with us.
I'm going to my Bond poster book because I remember like there's a still.
Oh, I have that one. I have that exact same one.
Whoa, you guys read books?
No, that's a poster book.
Oh, okay.
This has a bunch of pretty pictures in it.
Trey, if you ever imply that I read books again, I will fucking punch you. I'm no nerd.
There's like one picture of Roger Moore in the Japanese poster where I'm like, there's a mole here, but I'm now looking at it. I'm like, it's not there because I think he got it removed. But I was convinced that the mole was there.
He in this movie, he's trying to turn his face into a Sims character.
Yeah.
It's like making it smooth and flawless.
So anyway, also the guy's name who got murdered in the Eiffel Tower, his name is Mr. Aubergine.
Okay.
His name is Mr. Eggplant, basically. And I thought that was funny.
Jake is like, I give you this fun fact, and we're all like,
Jake, you are the Troy of this episode.
I'm dancing into the fire right now, and I am alone. It's warm here, because it's on fire. I'm dancing, and you guys,
your brain melted.
Yeah, I'm brain melted.
All right. So then that leads us to the castle, which is cool because it's very big. But besides that,
are you guys okay? What? Did something happen this week?
It's been rough, guys.
Can we mention Roger Moore's grandma shades, where he like goes in and peeks in on Max Zorin and Tanya Roberts talking?
Oh yeah, the cheetah print glasses.
Well, no, what it is for like 2 seconds, I'm like, this is some Fellini shit because he's in the back of a palace at a fancy party with these big shades, and he looks old but also young.
It is this old-looking young man with the grandma shades.
This movie exists outside of time.
Wait, we have to talk about the best Bond girl who only gets to talk when he comes into the house. Elsa Duty.
Yeah, Jenny Flex.
Elsa Duty's here. Allison Duty, who played Elsa Snyder in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. So for years, I called her Elsa Duty.
She's in this?
Yeah, she was the young woman who leads them into the house.
She's there throughout the movie.
Yeah, she's there all the way to the end.
Is this another one of your guys' like gaslighting like an entire character?
No. I am not trying to gaslight you. She is in the movie throughout.
She's one of the best performances in the movie. She should have been the main Bond girl.
I literally have no memory of this character.
Her name is
and
Jenny
I just watched
Flex.
the movie.
Her name is Jenny Flex, and James Bond goes, "You look it." And I'm like, what?
No. He says, no, you're wrong. This is a factual inaccuracy. He says, she introduces herself as, hello, I'm Jenny Flex. And he goes like, well, of course you are.
Welcome, sir. I'm Jenny Flex.
Of course you are.
I am looking at pictures of this character, and I do not believe that this was a real character.
She tragically dies in the mine flooding incident that happens at the end of the movie.
I have no memory of her. She is like, she's like the mole. Like, I can't believe this was a thing.
She set fire to San Francisco City Hall. She's in the other room with all the tanks of gasoline.
I do not remember her.
She does the best she can with what little she's given.
No, Troy's right. She's there throughout the entire time. She is like a second to Mayday.
Yeah.
She is like one of the bad henchwomen of the movie, and you forget that she's there. But this movie's genius anyway.
Well, it doesn't prove anything except that the continuing kind of back and forth in the 80s between Bond and Indy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And RRR.
Yes.
We'll get to the other Indiana Jones connection later on when we get to San Francisco. So
did you know that Indiana Jones is based on Ronald Reagan, which makes it bad?
Oh, whoa.
What YouTuber told you about that, Jan?
Well, we're BreadTube now, so I had to say something like that.
Oh, okay.
BreadTubers, did you know TV Tropes? I was reading on TV Tropes, I found this out.
TV Tropes is mostly wrong on the when you mention TV Tropes.
Yeah, it's perfect for BreadTube.
No. But this is a fact. Allison Duty does not sleep with James Bond in her one James Bond film, but she does sleep with Sean Connery in her one Indiana Jones film.
How did you know she was a Nazi? She talks in her sleep.
Discuss amongst yourselves.
Okay, I actually been preparing for this moment for quite a while. I have some streamers here. I have some cherry bombs. Let's throw them out. Congratulations, Troy mentions a fact from TV Tropes that isn't bullshit.
Oh my god.
Jake, the straitjacket's going back on if you keep pulling this kind of behavior. Yeah, so Max Zorin. All right, so I'm going to take a stab at trying to somewhat explain Max Zorin's deal in the first half of this movie.
Sure.
Max Zorin was born in Dresden. He was experimented on by Nazis to be a genetic peak superhuman specimen. He defected to the West in the 60s and became a wealthy industrialist, but he is actually a KGB agent. He makes microchips. He is using those microchips to make horses of inferior bloodlines better at racing. And James Bond is very upset about this because he
But
thinks
how is he
only
doing this?
through microchips that he is implanting in the horses.
That do what?
I don't know.
They inject microdoses of steroids that makes them go crazy in the middle of a race where they should be petered out. He presses a button and they run faster.
Shouldn't they die before they get to the finish line then?
It's a James Bond movie, Troy.
You think maybe that's what they injected into Roger Moore too, so that he could be in this movie?
Well, obviously, that's what I was gonna say. Is that like?
Oh my god!
This is not a metaphor.
He's very. He is like one of those racehorses that they just injected steroids into halfway through to get him to run up the Eiffel Tower.
And here's
steps.
what I hate about this is that Max Zorin's weird two dads are supposed to be the Nazis here, but it's James Bond who runs around a whole party just talking to random people and going, inferior bloodlines winning races. How? I mean, that's crazy. And it's just James Bond talking about why the mongrel blood should not be good at horse racing. And I'm like, I hate this.
Troy, in a series of bullshit arguments. If this episode is going to be about bullshit arguments.
The one part that I really like from this whole sequence is when he meets Stacy and he just goes, I'm British.
Hello, I'm English.
And that's it.
You're American. Would you like to bone me?
Yeah. So now we're gonna talk about Stacy. Not since The Rise of Skywalker have I seen a character just say one person's name, and that's their character. James.
She's like a Pokemon.
Well, she's the Finn of this movie.
Yeah.
Hey, out of all the actresses who are not in league with Roger Moore, or like in terms of acting ability, Tanya Roberts actually might be my favorite.
Jake!
Oh, come on.
Jake!
This character is dog shit.
Jake!
This character is dog shit, but at least it is enough for her to play.
No!
She can play this character, and it works for this character because it is not a good... here's the thing. It's not a good role. It's not a good role, but it's casted perfectly. They're not asking her to do like a full-on like... dance with Roger Moore about like, oh, I'm a spy of your equal.
What?
And, that way that's like too much for, it's like, no, this is like casted perfectly. Like, I am just a person who is...
It's a mediocre performance for a mediocre character, perfectly matched.
Exactly.
Jacob Muriel Nunes, you stop this nonsense right now.
Jake, you are going to sit here and write an apology note to Denise Richards and Barbara Bach for every single time you have downed their performances. Because you just
I did not expect that your nostalgia goggles movie would be a view to a kill.
No, it's not my nostalgia. Full disclosure here. This is not my nostalgia goggles movie. To be totally honest, I forget what happens most of the times I watch it.
Jake, that's worse. That's worse.
I just think, like, Troy, what if we walk into Jake's room and he's just like watching static on his TV and he's like... A View to a Kill is great.
Jake is the ghost of Tanya Roberts and Roger Moore in the room with us right now.
Maybe.
Is this movie taught in schools? Like, is in San Francisco schools when they make you watch A View to a Kill? And they go, see, we're the equal of Paris.
You guys wouldn't last one day in the Bay.
My city.
I asked my parents before we started recording, I'm like, do you remember when they filmed A View to a Kill? And they both said no.
Literally no one remembers this movie.
Except for me. And this is the hill I choose to die on.
Even the alive and well Diane Feinstein does not remember the filming of this
I was going to say, Jake, I thought you were going to tell us like your parents were watching the shooting of View to a Kill and they saw each other and they were like, hi, my name's Mr. Nunes. Hi, my name's not Mrs. Nunes yet. And then Roger Moore was so distracted, he flubbed his line and went, oh, I'm Jake Bond, shit. And then they were like, ha ha. And then they named one of their only sons of the 5 that they have, Jake.
What a good name.
What a view.
To a kill.
A view to a
Weirdly
birth.
enough, my dad has no memory of them filming this, but he did show up to the set of Star Trek The Voyage Home.
Well, yeah, because that's a good movie.
That's awesome. I respect that so much. Well, I wasn't an extra on Spectre when they filmed that here, even though I did apply. But my dad was an extra on Dune, so there you have it.
Oh my, Jane, you never told me this.
Yeah.
This is for eagle-eyed viewers who may know what we look like. I'm in blonde. Try to find me in blonde.
For the hardcore fans, find Troy in blonde and you will get a special present.
Yeah, no, you'll
get access to our live commentary of A View to a Kill.
Which is just us restraining Jake.
It's just Jen chain smoking to death. Me pontificating how this is the greatest movie ever
Jake,
made.
there have been episodes I have been scared to come on this show. I was not scared to come on this episode, but now you're going down a path that I can't follow.
Jake's like, you wouldn't survive in the Bay, and it's like, yeah, us who lived in LA would not survive a city overrun with inflation and homelessness. Let's talk about Max Zorin, because Christopher Walken, not just for the memes, like, he's genuinely one of my favorite actors. Like, he's given some of the best performances of all time.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
And he sucks on this.
Yeah,
I think he's fun.
There is like a couple of times where you get a glimmer of that Christopher Walken we all know and love.
Yeah, mostly like during the end when he's just like giggling to himself. Like,
well, yeah, when he's like mowing people down.
I was just gonna say one of his very first lines is like peak Walken. He goes like, "I'm happiest in a saddle."
I'm happiest in the saddle.
Yeah, but the character's so boring.
The scene where you really get it is fairly early on when he's pretending to be Googling a horse for Smythe, but he's actually looking up James Bond, and he sees a picture and is like, "That's James Bond," and he's like, hee.
And it says, he's like laughing to himself, where it's just like, usually armed, extremely dangerous, licensed to kill.
No, wait, what does he say? He says, a computer. I find the computer indispensable. And it just types in, who is James St. John Spencer Smythe? And then it just pops up, this is James Bond, very famous secret agent who everyone knows.
Even though this movie's horrible, I always appreciate a movie where James Bond is actually trying to hide his fucking identity.
He doesn't even grow a mustache.
This movie's very similar to Die Another Day. Not just in that they're both like just complete buck wild like
bullshit
final outings for their respective James Bond. Both of them feature scenes where James Bond is in disguise and then somebody just takes a picture of him and then it just says, "This isn't that guy, this is James Bond."
He's the worst fucking spy. Like, we've said this before, but it's just like...
The gadget I like the most in this movie is when him and Tibbet...
There are no gadgets.
No, there is. When him and Tibbet go to their room, they play a recording of him, like, insulting him and, like, complaining about his luggage while they talk on the balcony. I enjoy that.
I was laughing at that part, yeah.
The pivotal gadget is a tape recorder.
Yeah.
He's just like, Tibbet, you fuck up, you fucking idiot, you asshole.
Yeah.
And the guy listening to is like, what the hell?
Yeah.
He's just like, I wouldn't want to be his valet.
Yeah, but Max Zorin, David Bowie was right to pass on this movie. Max Zorin should be a cool villain. He has everything on paper looks like a cool villain, but he sucks.
I agree.
But it's Christopher Walken like laughing sporadically, being a crazy person.
Yeah, but they're so bland. Like, they didn't let him go full Walken.
You say potato, and I say potato. You say tomato, and I say tomato.
Are you saying that him like shooting his workers in the flooding mining facility like is in full Walken?
Yeah, that's not Christopher Walken. I've never seen him do that in any other movie. I see him like dance and shit.
Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. Let's go.
Sorry.
Jimmy, what's up?
You know that's what he wanted to do in Annie Hall though.
Well, yeah, that's true. But yeah, so then James Bond like goes investigating, and he's wearing like a Yugobnik tracksuit. He looks like a like a speedrunning grandma.
Oh my god, the stupid.
He looks more Russian than the Russian spies that investigate Zorin.
Yeah,
this movie might have James Bond's worst fits.
It does, but yeah, I agree.
It's got some rough fits, but this is always, I mean, in all of, especially the Roger Moore movies, just seem to have like escalating amounts of him sneaking around at night looking at things, and I'm just like, I don't care,
Yeah.
So they go into the stable, and there's a secret door that goes under the stable, and it reveals that there's a whole laboratory where they find out that the horses have microchips that inject a small amount of steroids in the middle of the race that's activated by some homing beacon that can be concealed in a whip or even a cane.
You said that without stuttering once. I'm very impressed.
Jake, this is a big moment for you. You really love this movie, don't you?
Take a bow.
Wait, can I point out that when him and Tibbet open the cabinet and they see all those vials, there's a yellow liquid, how desperately I wanted that to be labeled Sean Connery's James Bond's urine. I really wanted them to find Sean's urine.
And then we get James Bond No Way Home, where Sean Connery shows up.
Which they were going to do at the end of Never Say Never Again. They were going to bring Roger Moore.
No, instead of Rowan Atkinson, it was going to be Roger Moore. Yeah.
Oh, really? That would have been weird.
I was researching that for last week's episode, but then I forgot to say it in last week's episode, so
now we're saying
it now.
It would have been even funnier if it was George Lazenby.
George Lazenby can always do. All right, are we at the weird wrestling scene now between Mayday?
Yeah,
and
we're at the
Zorin?
weird wrestling scene where we get some sort of insight into Max Zorin and Mayday's relationship.
Because they are lovers.
She's teaching him judo, and then they are about to fuck.
It's also weirdly reminiscent of Never Say Never Again, where there's some kind of S&M thing going on.
It's the 80s.
It's the 80s, baby.
Yeah. And then, for no reason whatsoever, Mayday has sex with 65-year-old James Bond.
Well, Bond is in her bed. And then...
Well, Bond is escaping from... So they just had a fight scene with the two guys, and then now he's...
Oh my God!
Entered the building.
We skipped over the guy... They beat up an 85-year-old John Ratzenberger man.
Oh, yeah!
And they put him in a box, and he's like, I'll kill that a rap.
And the wires are like... cracking his skull open.
Yeah, and it's like, Jesus.
Yeah, that was random.
Apart from all that scene is when I was like, oh my God, the action is horrible in this one. It's the difference from Octopussy to this is astounding.
Octopussy was like a swashbuckler. This is trying to be like a gritty Death Wish movie with elderly people, and it's like...
No, it's not trying to be a gritty Death Wish movie. It's still trying to be like a classic action movie.
Yeah, no, it's just trying to be a James Bond movie, but it sucks. It's so bad at it.
It's really bad. All right, anyway, so...
But it's exquisite.
What an odd word to use for this movie.
It's exquisite just seeing them. Roger Moore is trying so hard in this last
Guys,
movie.
I took some notes about the James Bond Mayday sex scene, and I want to point out, one, there is a jump cut with him in the bed to her getting in the bed.
Oh, so that wasn't just my VHS.
No,
that's from the movie.
Oh, yeah.
There's a weird jump cut, like...
I noticed that too, yeah.
Like, Grace Jones was not willing to go into bed with Roger Moore, which I did some research, and yes...
But she's in bed with Roger Moore.
Yeah, but not getting into it. Like, they have to roll her in because she refuses. I don't know. I read that apparently they did not like each other, and Roger Moore was once quoted, "If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it, so I won't say anything about Grace Jones."
Hey, this is the most invested Roger Moore has been in a while. So.
We just had Octopussy. What
was
are you
his greatest
talking about?
moment, bro.
We did have Octopussy, but there's a slickness in John Glenn's direction that makes it feel like James Bond is more propelled into figuring out what's going on.
This TV movie-ass pacing and lighting is getting the slick direction. My mom walked into A View to a Kill and went, they didn't release this in theaters, right? This is on TV, right? This is like movie of the week level. And I'm like, yes, Mom, you are correct. I can't contradict you, Mom.
I can't bear to tell you the truth.
I'm dancing into the fire.
Dance into the fire. Okay, so actually a scene that I mildly enjoyed was the horse race thing.
They give Bond like the most erratic horse, and they put the steroid chip into the horse so that it freaks out.
They're like, you have to race over hurdles, but then he's like, psych. The hurdles get a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
For some reason, I have another Mandela effect from my memory where I remember that the problem was that the horse that James Bond gets in had like a giant and like it tripped over.
Jan,
Jan. Okay,
No.
Jan. Now you're just sound like a crazy person.
Oh, I sound like a crazy person.
Now you're just sounding crazy.
Producer Paul is coming out with a third straitjacket at this point. We'll all just be nice and
we're all
cozy.
gonna be tied up together.
Yeah, if you wanna know what it feels like to be schizophrenic, listen to this podcast with noise canceling headphones. This is what it is to have voices in your head.
I remember the giant horse stick in View to a Kill. It was rated PG.
Okay, so there's no horse dick, but
there is Michelin product placement.
yeah, but yeah, so they're they're sort of racing, and then the guys just start like trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. And then they catch him later, like, because he doesn't get away. I was basically just getting to this so I could say one of the best dialogue exchanges that made me smile is when Zorin catches him later. He's like going to kill him or something. And Bond's like, but if you kill me, you know that the British government will have to retaliate. And Zorin says, they're more likely to cover up your embarrassing incompetence. And Bond says, don't be so sure.
If you're the best they have, they'll more likely try to cover up your embarrassing incompetence.
Don't count on it, Zorin.
Yes, James Bond. I noticed that too. That he's like, yes.
No, that's actually a pretty good reply to like, this has been James Bond logic since Goldfinger, since the 60s. It's like, well, you can't kill me because they'll just send someone else. And Max Zorin's just like, no, this is embarrassing. You're a fuck up. Like, you're the worst spy ever.
And James Bond goes, yes, correct.
You completely fucked up. You tried a little bit harder than the previous, like, 8 movies to conceal your identity, and it was a complete and utter disaster. No one's gonna care.
What I will say, okay, Jake has a point. This movie does show that James Bond's methods need to change, because in an age where anyone can just Google your face, you can't just walk in and say you have a silly name and live at some guy's house anymore.
Troy, you're misunderstanding me. And Never Say Never Again, this would have been a fine thorn to throw in a Bond's side. This is a movie that is not concerned with that at all.
Then why are we even talking about it?
Because I'm dancing into the fire, Troy.
So it's brilliantly subversive because they're completely not engaging with this thing that you're thinking about
the whole time.
Jake is fully engulfed in flames right now.
The skin is peeled off my bones at this point. I am nothing but ash.
Jake is like Joan of Arc for this movie. It's the passion of Jacob.
He will die at the stake.
That's what she was doing, dancing into the fire.
I am defiantly dancing on this pyre.
We're like, repent! Admit this movie's bad. He was like, I can't.
Which?
I might not convince you guys, but I can't contradict with how I felt while watching this movie, and I had fun.
Crazy person.
Now, can we talk about how beloved TV star Patrick Macnee is killed by Michelin product placement?
Yes. It's weird because we get the shot of him pulling into the car wash, and then it's like a panning shot from left to right, and it stops at a Michelin like poster.
Yeah.
Sitting there, and it stops, and then it keeps going. And then, so he dies by the car wash. Max Zorin puts him in the car with the dead Patrick Macnee.
Well, wait, how does he die? We need to point out how he died.
He gets choked to death by Mayday, who's sitting in the back seat.
Because their go-to plan is to always put Grace Jones as Mayday in the back seat of whatever car the guy is driving, hope he doesn't look in the back seat, and then she's going to strangle them, and then take their car and take it for herself.
Well, to be fair, you never look at the back seat when you're driving. I feel like that makes sense.
Jan, have you never driven? I only drive in reverse. It's harder, but more rewarding.
I'm like, you never look back when you're driving. Cut to my car, like, destroyed.
In the back.
Dirty Mike and the boys have been partying in the back seat.
There's people living there. like, hey, man, I've been living here for 2 years. You don't know me?
But anyway, back to the Michelin product placement. So they drive Bond and Patrick Macnee into a river. Bond escapes because it goes to the bottom. He's able to open the door, and he needs to breathe underwater because he sees that Mayday and Max Zorin are still looking out into the lake where they drove him in. So he needs the help of Michelin tires that have enough oxygen in there so that he could breathe while they leave and give up on making sure that Bond is dead.
Yeah.
I have to say, I don't think I've ever seen that before. You'd think that would be in more movies.
Yeah, you would think, like, especially if you have a tire product placement. That's like a given.
So Zorin is just pulling a gold finger and having a little map come out of a thing.
Yeah, that part's fun. I like that part.
They go from France, and now they're in the San Francisco Bay Area in a blimp. Like, within the span of, like, a second.
Yeah, this is what bothers me. This is a completely different movie. Like, there is no aesthetic carryover into the second half of this movie. There is no identity that is shared here.
There's Roger Moore.
Yeah, but I do like that blimp. I like how he ejects the businessman with a slide. That's fun.
Oh, that's great. When he's like, I am leaving this illegal meeting where you want all my money if you destroy Silicon Valley, so you're the only microchip creator. Max Zorin is then like, oh, well, the rest of this meeting was only for people who are in on this.
Would you mind, confidentiality? Yeah.
Would you mind exiting this blimp?
Does anyone else like see him die? Is it like intimidation, or he just did it because he was pissed off? Because he does say like, does anyone else wanna
care to drop
out?
Does anybody else want to drop out?
There's like, so that they see that, like it's so poorly explained.
Well, there are windows. They're in a blimp, so they do have windows.
So they could see like a guy going into the bay.
Well,
below.
I was happy because it was the return of the slide from You Only Live Twice, the Super Mario 64.
Yes, I did love that.
Yeah.
I did love the return of the slides.
Yeah, I love slides. Every James Bond movie should have a slide.
Everything should have a slide. I picked an internship in college because The Office had a slide.
That wasn't an internship, Troy. That was a hospital.
So yeah, they're flying over the San Francisco Bay Area, and Mayday looks out and is admiring the view, and she goes, "Wow, what a view!" And Christopher Walken goes, "To a kill."
What a view. To a kill.
It makes no sense.
This is why the movie is great.
Shouldn't it be what a view to kill? Like, what's to a
view
kill?
to a kill. Like, they're going to kill Silicon Valley. But hey, guys, Jake, you love this movie so much, and you just completely skipped over Dolph Lundgren's one scene in the film.
I was thinking about that, but we were already on a roll with the blimp. But yes, so...
No, we're going back. The blimp sucks. Now it sucks because we skipped over Dolph Lundgren's first film role.
Yes, he's there briefly with General Gogol. So General Gogol's like, "You've gone too far this time. I think your mind has been poisoned by your capitalist ambitions, basically."
Yes.
And
your Riz is too great.
I love Gogol is my favorite recurring James Bond character.
I agree too. I love Gogol too. He's just
Gogol's fucking great. He's always just coming in and being like, "You are ashamed to the Soviet Union," and then he's like chumming it up with them. Like, it's so cute.
No, what I love about the 80s Bond movies is like in the 60s when the Cold War was really hot, they really went out of their way to try to like talk about Russia, but try to avoid ever saying Russia was the bad guy.
Yeah.
Then in the 80s, when the Cold War heated up again, all the bad guys are somehow working for Russia, but it is like two competing summer camps. Like, it's just like, we mess you up, you mess us up. Détente.
It's like friendly banter.
Yeah, they have like an antagonistic relationship, but it's like a prank antagonistic relationship.
Yeah.
And the only like really bad guys are the bad guys that have nothing to do with the actual Soviet Union. They're like, well, you guys are too far. You guys don't know what you're doing.
Like an Octopussy, Gogol's just like, "You messed with my best friend M," and just like shoots him.
Yeah.
But yeah, is that then when we meet Stacy properly? She's horrible.
A little bit later.
Well, first Gogol sends his KGB agent lady, and I was like, why does Stacy have an accent now?
You guys are missing the second Indiana Jones connection.
Yeah.
The CIA agent that he meets up with in Fisherman's Wharf is the guy who's like, "I followed you on many adventures. It's the great unknown mystery."
Wait, Mac?
I go first, Indy. No, not Mac.
What are you talking
No,
about?
the guy that he meets up in Fisherman's Wharf is Indiana Jones's friend who gets killed at the beginning of Temple of Doom.
I followed you on many adventures. Into the great unknown mystery. I go first, Indy.
Oh, yeah.
You mean Lee?
Yeah.
Wait, the guy who gets shish kebab?
The guy who was supposed to be Felix Leiter, but is not Felix Leiter?
Yeah, he's the guy that's been on many adventures with Indy that we saw for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Oh, but can we talk this part? Both the Fisherman's Wharf scene and the KGB agent, the woman, they both have one thing in common. They were they were going to be returning Bond girls. Fisherman's Wharf, Maud Adams filmed a cameo to be in Fisherman's Wharf. They cut the main shot, but she still might be an extra, which if that's the case, she's the only Bond girl to be in 3 movies.
Yes.
And the other one is, yes, as I talked over Jake, they wrote the KGB agent to be Anya, and it was going to be a reunion with her. And Barbara Bach said no. And honestly, I don't blame her. As someone who loves The Spy Who Loved Me, I don't know if I like the idea of bringing Anya back as just some random side chick.
It's not a random side
character.
chick. It's just like a nice little nod that like Bond is like, oh, it's another Russian agent, and he's trying to get deeper into the mystery of Max Zorin, and and she has information that I don't
but
have.
it would just remind me of Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. Where he gets divorced at the end, or Ted 2, where he gets divorced at the end. I'm like...
Every movie reminds you of Paul Blart 2.
Yeah, it's getting bad. The monomyth in that movie is off the charts.
It's strong.
Paul Blart opens the refrigerator and he answers the call to go to Vegas. And then he asks, why does it look like Vegas?
Yeah, but he investigates the oil derelict. There are Russian spies who are not pleased that Max Zorin is doing this. Bond investigates and then leaves and meets up with her. They go to a hot tub, a Japanese hot tub.
Korean spa.
Oh my god, what a painful fucking scene. It goes on forever, and it's so boring.
I would argue this scene is the worst Roger Moore's hair has ever looked. It is like flaying at the temples.
He's fully Donald Trump now. Like
it looks garbage.
It's fucking awful.
And they're both nude, and he's like playing Tchaikovsky.
Tchaikovsky.
He turns on the jets, and the jets just like, the bubbles, they tickle my Tchaikovsky.
The bubbles tickle my Tchaikovsky.
That's what I'm gonna say now.
That's a great line.
Whenever I get a boner, I'm just gonna say, you've tickled my Tchaikovsky.
Yeah.
But that's because, Jan, your dick looks like an elderly composer who's bald on top and has a big white beard and is in denial about his homosexuality.
Yeah, I'm Jewish. That's what our penises look like.
Oh, man. All right.
Jan's editing this
I'll
episode.
debate on that one.
So then he's like, I need to find Stacy.
No, but that's going to be the thumbnail. That's going to be the thumbnail.
What, of a penis?
Tchaikovsky dick. Of a penis that looks like Tchaikovsky.
That's what a circumcised penis looks like. That's.
I know, I'm circumcised, but though mine is more of a debussy.
Oh. Then maybe they circumcised it a little too well if they gave you a boozy.
I got a lot of issues, man. I'm playing the Debussy every afternoon, and I'm like, oh,
I have a Tchaikovsky and Troy is Debussy.
I don't know. What does that make me? The Leonard Bernstein? I don't know.
Yes. Jake, I've been meaning to say, some people say yours is a little too big in one area to the point of it being anti-Semitic.
What?
Yeah. You put on a prosthetic in your penis.
God.
You cheater. Yeah, so A View to a Kill.
So A View to a Kill, so James Bond turns on tickles her Tchaikovsky, and Swan Lake is playing in the background. It's like the part that gets like serious and stuff, and it's going along in sync with her actions because she's stealing the tape back and slipping out from Bond's grasp. She gets into a car with Gogol. She's like, I got the tape of Max Zorin. And they put it on in the car, and it is just the music that was playing in the bathhouse, and they mug the camera, go like, ooh.
Yeah. I do like that. I'll give it points.
Every time Gogol is not in the Kremlin, I'm like, Russia is like getting attacked, but he's putzing around in San Francisco.
And you cry.
Jan, I notice you're a little cold because every single time I mention a scene, you go like, well, that part's good. It's warm by the fire.
No.
Okay, so that's the thing. It's like there's moments where for 2 seconds I'm like, and then the next 20 minutes are like, you know.
Sure, you could tell yourself, Jan. Just bring your Tchaikovsky penis over to the fire.
My Tchaikovsky penis knows what it likes, okay? It did not respond well to this movie. This movie did not tickle my Tchaikovsky.
Did not tickle my Tchaikovsky. You know, I agree. I love Tchaikovsky, and I know when he's getting tickled, and I know he's not getting tickled with A View to a Kill.
Yeah, so Bond has the information now, and he meets up with Tanya Roberts at her estate. And
this is when the whole movie, it's like point of no return.
Well, there's some good stuff here. Some guys come in. Well, first of all, I wanted to note, Bond finds Stacy by breaking into her house with a product from the Sharper Image.
Yes,
he has a Sharper
card
Image
that
card.
digitally enhances the window to open. That is not computerized at all. He just uses it. It goes like beep, and the window opens.
Microchips.
See, that's not as fun as the gadget where he chews out his coworkers.
Yeah, the tape recorder. That's useful.
What is going on with these double entendres? So where he chews out his coworkers?
He eats out his coworker.
He chews out their Tchaikovsky.
Wait, he chews out their Tchaikovskys.
All right, but he finds.
We had a very long week.
Some guys come in. He fights them. This is like the last part where I smiled in this movie, is when he's
yeah, we still have an hour left.
He's fighting the guys. He's like, Stacy, please hold this delicate vase. And then she's like, oh, screw it. And then she smashes the guy with the vase. And then Roger Moore looks concerned and she says, it's all right. It was Granddad's ashes. He always loved a good fight. And then she wipes her hands on her dress, like getting the ashes off.
She says, sorry, Granddad.
Sorry, Granddad.
Because his portrait was over his ashes. And I'll say this is why I will never have my remains used for interior decoration in a foyer.
You never know who might need to get bonked.
Wait, oh my God, wait, but Stacy's reintroduction where Bond is in this empty house and he hears her showering and he's like, a woman naked in the shower, I know what to do there. And he walks into the bathroom and then Stacy comes out with a gun and then she's like, I'm going to shoot you. But then more guys break in and Roger Moore takes the gun and he's shooting them in the butt. But then halfway through, he's like, bath salts or something. Like,
there's
rock
salt
in the gun.
Rock salts.
Rock salts in the gun. But what I don't get is he knows that, and then at the end of the fight scene, as the guys are running away, he's still firing at them with the gun.
It's gotta be painful to get shot with the rock salt.
You know how fucking painful it is? It's like rock salt enters your body, and what does salt do on a wound? It stings. It hurts.
I'm so dumb. I was about to say it seasons it.
It makes you more tasty for the wildlife.
And then I was like, oh yeah, no, it hurts. Like
Jan's like, oh yeah, pain. I don't know. Much like Jan, I've become desensitized to pain after watching A View to a Kill.
Pain is an old friend of mine.
No, what's even funnier is that like he goes off and like he's like, I shall defend the home, and he takes the shotgun. I'm like, it's still filled with rock salt, right?
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do?
I mean, I'm sure it's useful. Like you said, it sounds pretty fucking painful.
I mean, it's painful, but like these are hardened assassins that you can't just like chase off with a rock salt shotgun. Like it may work on like a badger or something like that.
Yeah, but they're being chased away by a 78-year-old man, so it's fine.
Yeah. So he makes a quiche and they talk. He fixes her phone.
That quiche looks delicious.
Oh, yeah, the quiche looks good. This is the most homebody I think Roger Moore ever gets in his Bond era.
Which is why I'm shocked you don't like this.
No, I don't like Bond being a homebody.
He's a hero in this movie. He makes a quiche.
No.
I'm shocked how much you like this, man. It's insane.
Yeah, this is Jake. I really thought this one, I don't know. I thought different. I'm just saying, if they ever made a movie like Jake, when I watch this movie, it makes me go, thank God they never made a movie where James Bond has to make like a waffle for a little girl.
Yeah, you sound crazier than Jake right now, Troy.
I know,
you sound crazy.
Like, I swear to God, could you imagine James Bond made like breakfast for a small child, and then they made a Thor movie where Thor has to make breakfast for a small child and they just keep making movies where everyone makes breakfast for small children, and I'm like,
I mean, Troy, that would be weird, but they haven't done it yet, so it doesn't matter.
I mean, as this movie, A View to a Kill, teaches us, your hero is heroic if they cook, but it only for adult women.
Yes, fully grown women that are still like 40 years younger than you, but anyways.
Hey, only 22. Apparently on set, Tanya Roberts told Roger Moore, "Oh, my mother is 4 years younger than you."
He went really bad about that. Yeah.
And he's like, "I need to get out of here."
He's like, "I can't do this."
Oh,
I can't do this.
Roger.
Yeah, he hated Tanya Roberts and he hated Grace.
Yeah. Is that then when we get my favorite scene in the whole movie, which is the awesome like crane action scene that Terminator 3 stole?
So the guy from Temple of Doom shows up and they're like, let's go to City Hall. Tanya Roberts has a clearance key.
Wait. So she has already been fired?
No, she hasn't been fired from her job, I don't think, because she's like still working there because Bond notices her there, and that's when he tails her.
Because James Bond has already done his interview for the British Financial Times where he's like, "You're pumping water into Silicon Valley," and that San Francisco politician, that great city that only elects geniuses, is like, "Yes, it's better that way." And James Bond is like, "Okay,
it's better that way. It strengthens the pipeline by showing any cracks without doing environmental damage."
Jake, I will give you this. It is nice that James Bond is persistent in this movie. Him pretending to be some other guy whose name starts with J has already blown up in his face. But here he is in a different country, just doing it again.
So you're killing it with the double entendres today, really.
All right.
I haven't done improv in like a month. I'm in withdrawal.
So so they go to City Hall. They go to City Hall to investigate the documents or whatever. The guy from Indiana Jones is killed by Mayday. They get there and
again, how is he killed by Mayday?
She hides in the back and strangles him, just like she did with Patrick Macnee.
That's my thing with this movie. It's not creative at all.
No,
it feels like The Man with the Golden Gun is fun and stupid because it's full of like weird creative decisions. This is so goddamn stale. Nothing about this is alive.
We're dancing into the igloo. Me and Jan are dancing into the igloo on this whole.
Walk into the igloo.
You guys are like the frozen lady from the main title sequence.
I do really like this action sequence with the crane.
You forget that Max Zorin shoots a public official that we said in the beginning, and then burns the place down, and then they have to escape a burning elevator.
And that's when we start. That's when the
James
starts, and I'm like, oh my God, shut up.
James, don't leave me. James.
Okay, you guys are just mean to Tanya Roberts. She does it well.
No.
She screams James well.
No.
She's like Finn, that horrible character from that horrible Kathleen Kennedy movies.
No. I'll give this to Finn. Finn knows how to run. When Tanya Roberts gets fired in this movie, she does this weird kind of to the door, and I'm like, what are you doing? Walk like a normal person.
Okay, so they get out of City Hall. Bond has I was convinced Troy would love this moment, or like love this movie because of this moment, because we see James Bond save Tanya Roberts, and he comes down from the ladder of a City Hall that's burning down, and we get to hear the View to a Kill orchestral theme play in the background as he's doing it, and everybody's cheering, and it's just like, yeah, James Bond did it. He escaped.
2 points, Jake. 1, if you pay attention to my past Roger Moore reviews, you know my favorite Roger Moore scenes are the ones where he's talking about people he has killed in the past. And this is not one of those scenes. 2, this is my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah, I was right. So I'm partially right. So
yes, you are partially right. You are technically correct, the best kind of.
I still think like it's the only scene in this entire godforsaken thing that I would call genuinely cool and entertaining. I really love when the crane like decapitates a car That was and there's like a naked couple in there or something.
Oh yeah,
that
no,
was,
there's like there's like vagrants living in the camper of a truck.
That was sick. I love that.
I'm gonna break from the pack here and go. This is like when our anime friend showed us this movie after the premiere of another person's movie that we know. Me and Paul were together, and I had not seen a James Bond movie. No, I had seen like maybe 3 by this point. And I'm watching it, and I'm seeing Roger Moore in a little jacket, this old man in a little jacket swinging around on a fire ladder while not John Ratzenberger is chasing him. And I'm like, this is not what this is for.
Did you not like it, Paul? I thought you'd like it.
Well, no, the crane's kind of mid, and a bunch of like cop cars getting smashed. I'm like, this is like leftover footage from like the Blues Brothers or something.
No,
you know?
yeah. But that thing that's fun. The Blues Brothers is fun.
I was more impressed with the elevator, actually, with the fire, because I'm like, damn, they're really burning Roger Moore. He is dancing into the fire.
No. That his face isn't melting, Paul. That's just the way he looks now.
Oh,
but
okay.
I actually thought that the elevator scene was boring as fucking shit.
Okay, well, we're past ships passing in the night, I guess.
My favorite part of the elevator scene is that 40-second part where you think he left her. In the elevator. He left Stacy in the elevator. And
yeah,
he's
but
not
I don't know.
back.
There's something like the way that it's edited is like so slow and like tensionless.
While we're back there, I do want to point out that Max Zorin's whole plan, apparently, to burn down City Hall to frame him and Stacy for her boss's murder by burning down San Francisco City Hall. He claims that was all improv. And I'm like, whoa. And he's like, see, I'm a genetic super soldier. I could improv shooting someone and setting a building on fire.
Did you just say this when he says intuitive improvisation is the secret of genius?
Yeah. And he points the gun at his head when he says that.
Yeah, no, a part of me really wanted to put in like a gunshot like right there. He's just like he shoots himself.
Intuitive improvisation is the secret of genius.
I'll say one other note. This digression with a bunch of goofy shit with cops is like it's kind of Roger Moore comes full circle back to Live and Let Die.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, except now it's New York cops who live in San Francisco.
Yes, it is.
No, like Roger Moore's tenure really is like it's like a sandwich made out of like delicious meat. But the bread is like logs of shit.
Yes, that's exactly it, Chad. That's part of my thesis.
But the bottom part of that shit, they had it was like that person was fed like some like nice steak, and you know like
no,
they
Jake,
had a very fine dinner. You could almost taste the corn.
Jake,
you could almost.
Jake,
it's some good
how
shit.
Dare you? How dare you compare A View to a Kill to my normal order at Texas Roadhouse? How dare you, sir? I love my order at Texas Roadhouse.
All right, are we close to the? All right.
No, we're not. We have 40 minutes of this
That's
movie
what I
left.
said. I was like, okay, this has to be over soon. But then I saw we had like 40 minutes left, and I was like, that's when I texted you guys, I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah. I had to pause the movie. I had to take a break. I'm like, I can't go into this third act. And let me put this to people. Everyone's like, The Spy Who Loved Me drags a little bit in its third act. And I'm like, A View to a Kill lays down, won't move. You have to grab it by the armpits, drag it face down in the mud,
Troy,
and pull it for these next 40 minutes.
I don't know what's going on with you today, but you're saying all sorts of like really sexually charged shit.
Look, Jan, I know your wife died last episode, and you've
Is
been
this what
alone.
happens when you smoke too much, Jan? You're like, this seems really sexual.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm thinking with my Tchaikovsky, but go on.
Yeah, so they escape. And they go to Max Zorin's mine, which I guess was an abandoned silver mine, which I don't think...
We've explained what his plan is, right? Have we explained to the listeners
Yeah, we
what his
explained it. He's
plan
going
is?
to blow up a bunch of oil rigs that are also connected to bodies of water in the Bay Area during a specific tide so that it fills the fault line. And at this specific time, that will flood the entirety of Silicon Valley, especially if you blow up the San Andreas Lake.
Yeah, apparently it's like the microscopic version of California sinking into the sea. Apparently he can make that happen.
Yeah.
I was saying he is kind of trying to do the Gene Hackman and Superman plot, except not as good or easy to follow. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, tomato.
You say tomato, and I say tomato.
All right, let's go back to this garbage third
So,
act.
they find out the plan. They go to this non-existent mine that is, I guess, located near the San Andreas Lake.
It once again reminded me of Temple of Doom.
There are mine carts.
There are mine carts. There's a flooding of a mine shaft.
I was wondering if that was intentional to make it look like Temple of Doom.
This is not only the worst climax of any of these movies, this is like one of the worst climax in any action movie I've ever seen.
Speaking of Indiana Jones references, City Hall was used at the ending of Raiders of the Lost Ark for Washington, D.C. They shot it in the big stair, you know where the staircase is? That's San Francisco City Hall.
I don't think that was a fact that was like as cool in your mind as it was like when you told it to us.
Hey, no, I'm gonna go to San Francisco. Jake, can I go and lick the steps where Harrison Ford dropped his ice cream? Do you think I could still get some like ice cream residue if I lick the steps of City Hall?
Okay, that was definitely sexually charged.
You guys are getting this, right? You guys are seeing how sexual this is, right?
What the hell are you talking about? You're just horny right now.
Jan is like, I'm full mast over here. You're not taking any responsibility.
Troy, you have my Tchaikovsky fully erect. You will not gaslight me.
He's gonna pee from a jar, pee into a jar that's like 5 feet away.
Jan is ready to pee several meters right now.
Oh god.
So we're at Max Zorin's mine, and he's planning to blow it up because that's where the fault line is, and it will trigger earthquake, whatever. So shit blows up, people start flooding. Mayday is also.
Wait, we're already there? Yeah. Wait, no. All right. We have to talk about how they switch into like 3 different outfits to get down there.
No, we don't.
First, they have to pretend to be. Yes, because this is true. So the first time they're going like, "My howdy, I'm a trucker. I'm coming in this here mine." And then they dress up as miners. And then they go in and they're like, "Well, if we want to get down there, we'll go by rail. But first, let's change into this." And this is true. Stacy comes out in a fitted like worker's outfit with heels. And this is because Tanya Roberts got upset that the clothes are too baggy and demanded a fitted costume made. So when she comes out and Roger Moore goes, "If only they had one that fit you," and she looks mad at him, that was an ad lib that Roger Moore did because he hated her so much. And John Glenn hated her so much that he left that take in the movie.
What did she do to him? Why do they hate each other so much?
Nobody knows.
Apparently she just was a diva on set. She was way too young for him.
Yeah.
I mean, Roger Moore, a complete teddy bear. He did nothing. A good man.
Except evade like years of taxation, but yeah.
He's a good to the children of the world through UNICEF, but also tax felon.
Except the ones he threw off that boat in Man with the Golden Gun. That child he chucked. He chucked a child. The child chucked.
Okay, we're getting distracted. We're on eyes on the prize here. We're almost at the end.
What's the prize? The movie ending?
We really only have like 2 scenes left in the movie, but they drag so fucking much.
Yes. They go on forever.
They go on forever, and they're not interesting at all.
I'm into Max Zorin mowing down a bunch of his own goons.
That's literally Roger Moore's least favorite scene. And you know what? I could get behind the violence. But it's the pacing that truly offends me.
Yeah, same. It's like I should be loving this, but it's so poorly paced that I'm bored out of my mind. Like I was on my phone the entire time.
It feels like they got 3 shots. 1 shot of Christopher Walken blasting, another shot of his friend blasting, and people running around.
Now that was sexual, Troy.
Yeah, come on, Troy.
No,
everyone's. Now you you see what I'm saying?
Now I'm surrounded by Tchaikovsky. All right, I must be in a music conservatory because I'm surrounded by Tchaikovsky dicks all around me. All right.
You're gonna get our audience all hot and bothered. Troy. You need to
So
stop.
Christopher Walken's blasting all over everybody.
I can already feel the temperature of I can feel the temperature of the room rise.
Oh no, Jake's dancing towards
Yeah,
me.
we're walking into the fire.
He's dancing towards me. No, get out of my igloo. My igloo's melting.
There's no igloo left. There's only flames.
My igloo is melting. Jesus Christ, Troy.
Walken is blasting. My igloo is melting.
And that's when I just start blasting. My igloo's everything's gushing. Christopher Walken is laughing. Jenny Flex is covered in water because he's been blasting.
She got her Tchaikovsky wet.
And this is around the time when Mayday goes, hey, maybe Max Zorin is a bad guy.
Yeah.
OMG.
And so they stop the bomb, and Mayday kills herself in defiance of Max Zorin. While
twirling, while dancing.
No, she's not dancing. She's just...
Yeah, she's twirling.
No,
she's vibing
no, she's
as
not.
she goes out on
this
that
This is
bomb.
a Mandela effect.
Yes, she is. She's like cheering.
Mayday?
It's like Dr. Strangelove on a track.
I don't remember that.
No, she's just... No, because your hands are on the brake.
Yeah, I don't think she's dancing.
No.
Well, she should have danced into the fire, and then they should have played the song.
But yeah, I hate the stupid fucking like Atlantis the Lost Empire cliche of like, oh, the bad guy boss betrayed me. Now I'm gonna help the good guys. Like that's so stupid.
Like, whatever, it's fine.
But Jake, now we get to Tanya Roberts' least favorite part of the movie, where Max Zorin is in a blimp. And he somehow sneaks up on her.
And what is her immortal line? What is her immortal line that she says after Mayday is blown up?
James.
Yes, exactly.
James!
She's like the fucking meme of the Sean! She's like a glitch, like a human glitch.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, this whole thing with the blimp is it's so fucking boring. It's so slow.
The poster of the movie, blimp runs into Golden Gate Bridge.
No, Roger Moore is hanging on to blimp from the outskirts to the
They fly
city.
from San Andreas Lake, which is somewhere between Burlingame and San Bruno, and they fly into...
Oh, I love San Bruno. Greatest city in the world. They have fine cheeses.
No, it's not.
And wonderful natural lakes.
No, it's the Bristol of America.
So they fly into San Francisco. He tries to knock him off the blimp by going into the bank of the
Jake, it's okay. You've never been to San Francisco. We can't expect you to know.
I know.
He runs into the Golden Gate. He hangs on. Yep. That's right. He gets the antenna. The antenna of the Transamerica Pyramid hits him in the crotch. That was notable.
Okay, so they fight in the blimp and the movie's over.
Yeah, no, they fight on the blimp, and it's a very fun action scene that takes place.
No,
on
fight on the bridge. No.
It's a great scene. We all love it.
Yeah, you're like, yeah. Let's speed through it. It's an amazing scene. We all agree.
Yeah, no, it's one of the best. It's one of the best, most notable James Bond action scenes because it takes place on an internationally recognized landmark, and seeing Bond go toe
Jake,
to
it's
toe with
fucking
Max Zorin,
awful.
It's so awesome.
Jake, they're just slipping and sliding.
It looks really, really bad.
They're sliding. Max Zorin has an axe. It reminds me of the Great Mouse Detective when they're fighting on Big Ben. Max Zorin is going full crazy.
Because there's a landmark. Yeah, it reminded me of X-Men. Yeah.
They've established that Max Zorin is a super soldier, and the best he can do is like throw an axe while an angry German grandpa is like, no, Max, and then Tanya Roberts is like, James, and the old man's like, Max.
The music is slapping hard right here because you have John Barry doing like the da 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 da.
It's too sexual. It's not.
John Barry slapping.
Is not slapping hard.
Fuck off! You're wrong.
All right,
Jake, I'm sorry. We've cuddled you, we've held you close, but we've watched enough of these movies together that now we have a baseline.
Jake, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I don't even know how to like rebuttal these points. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, it's like this is very much not an awesome scene.
No, Jake, I have to be honest with you. A lot of times when I'm on this podcast, I'm like, I wish when I make a point, people won't just go, no, that sucks. It's bad. It's not doing any of what you're saying. But Jake, I have to say, this sucks. It's bad. It's not doing any of what you're saying.
Hey, you see a gold dress, I see a blue dress.
You see a gold dress, I see a blue dress.
Potato, tomato. Let's go. Sorry. Jimmy, what's up?
You see shit, Jake sees delicious gourmet shit.
That is true. We have that on.
Let me backtrack this. This is shit. But we have different opinions on what kind of shit this is.
Oh, we're having different opinions on how tasty it is.
Yes.
Jake is going to tell us I didn't change my mind about A View to a Kill, but he's had to say, I'll backtrack.
No, I am not backtracking. I am
all right.
still in the fire. I have not stepped foot out of it.
So then we can all agree that despite them having unprecedented access to this world famous landmark, and then there are like 3 shots where you can see that they're actually up there, it is so unconvincing still.
It's horrible.
No, I don't think any of it, I don't think they were filming at all.
It's so damning to this movie that is the least convincing effects work probably in the whole series. And yet there are a few shots. No, there's one shot, but there's a few times they cut to this shot where they put a camera up on the tower and there's a couple of stunt guys standing in one position, like pretending to wrestle because it's so confined of what they can do without horribly dying.
Yeah.
It's like a couple of seconds in this scene that is almost always otherwise a set, a model, Roger Moore in front of a screen, Roger Moore at home in front of a blue wall.
The little effort that they put into the scene makes it worse because it just shows how horrible the rest of it is.
It's really, I mean, it's full 1950s B movie. Like somehow, like the effects work has completely regressed to before the series.
Jake, we have evidence of why you like this movie so much. You've been drinking this whole video.
And again, in the same film where we have them climbing the Eiffel Tower and it's totally real. Mostly real.
Sure it is, buddy.
Mostly real.
Yes, Paul, let's get you back to bed.
Let me go to bed.
All right, Paul, let's put you in. We'll tuck you in. Woody will be in a moment to read you a bedtime story.
But yeah, then Max Zorin dies in an incredibly underwhelming way.
He just slips. He slips,
but then Christopher Walken was told, all right, you're going to slip off and you're going to fall into a mattress. And when they tell him that's how he dies, he started laughing at how stupid it was. And that is the take they used in the movie.
Is that real?
Wait, really?
Yeah, I'm not making that
That's
up.
awesome.
That's not a bit. Jake, back me up on this.
No, actually, I can't back you up because I did not hear about this beforehand, but that is awesome.
Wait, you're saying they told him mid-take, like, okay, die now.
Okay. No, it's basically your Nazi father is shouting your name, and then that like triggers something in you, going like, oh hey, my dad is calling my name or something, and then he falls off and dies, and he laughs at the ridiculousness of it.
I kind of really like that he laughs before he dies.
Yeah, that's when you're like, oh, that's right, they hired Christopher Walken.
Yeah, that's the only like nice touch about this guy.
Yeah.
The guy has sticks of cartoon dynamite in the blimp, and he's going to use this against Bond by throwing a giant stick of dynamite at him, and Bond has to use the axe to cut the blimp away from the bridge, and they comically trips, and then they're trying to find the dynamite, go like, whoa, where is it? And they blow up and die. And Tanya Roberts and Bond are stuck on the bridge, and Bond goes like, if only you can get a cab from up here.
There's never a cab when you want one.
Which makes no sense.
It's a complete non sequitur.
I mean, look, I could sort of respect it, but yeah. I mean, again, Jay, you're talking about something where, again, Casino Royale 1967 is 2.5 hours where every second is that insane. So this is just not cutting it anymore.
Yeah,
no, but it's not. I'm not bored in A View to a
Jake,
Kill.
it's because you've convinced yourself this is the baseline for interesting.
This is Stockholm Syndrome.
This is San Francisco. This is San Francisco Syndrome.
Oh my God.
Okay, and then, now, having saved the day, Roger Moore, James Bond's crowning achievement, he returns back and, well, Gogol tries to present him with the Order of Lenin for all of his great work.
That's so awesome that's how he goes out, is with the Order. He also, he says, he's the first non-Soviet to win. False. Armand Hammer won this multiple times.
Oh.
Really?
Really.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
Because Armand Hammer, for some reason, was a huge supporter of the Soviet Union.
Wow. And obviously, the Warren Beatty, the guy Warren Beatty played, didn't win that, but he was buried in the Kremlin or something, right?
Yeah, I think he was. I think they put him in the necropolis or something.
There you go.
But that's fun. I love that Gogol once again shows what a good guy he is. And then we get to silly hijinks. I do really like the scene again.
But James Bond is presumed dead. I want to point out that after what happened, they think he's dead. Except Q.
The last we see of Moneypenny is her weeping over...
Which it only would have worked if, we thought, James Bond fell off, the Golden Gate Bridge, and then the next scene was, he got the
Well, yeah,
Order of Lenin.
it's like we have no idea where he is. He's exactly where he's with the woman that he was saving at her house.
Yeah.
They didn't think to look there.
And Q just on his own decided, I'm going to send my robot cat in there.
Yeah.
Where could he be? Oh, he's at the place where he's at, in all of these movies. Shagging the girl.
He's at his house.
Yeah, at his house shagging a girl.
And they're always he's presumed dead. And it's no, and Q's no, I'll just get my perv robot.
Well, Q's look, at the end of the missions, this is the rule. I got to get a little peek. And he does.
I got to cuck a little bit.
I got to get a little reward.
I got to see him blasting
Yeah,
away.
Desmond Llewellyn is just
over and I just started blasting.
Desmond Llewellyn is just my igloo is melting. And then the movie ends.
Well, and then the last thing that Roger Moore does in his tenure of Bond is that
the longest serving James Bond.
Longest serving James Bond. Tanya Roberts says, "Oh, James!
Oh, James."
And then they're in the shower, and then the last thing you hear is Roger Moore go "Oh." Oh. And then cut to credits. Duran Duran starts playing.
He should have said, "You tickle my Tchaikovsky." That should have been the last line.
Plant payoff.
So let's get through our reviews real quick. Troy.
Wait, I gotta make an adjustment to my worst movies of all time.
No, okay, I'll start.
Okay, Jan, you go.
I did it.
This movie, I'll start with the things that I like. I like the first 10 minutes. I really like the pre-title, the title. I like when they're in Paris. I really like the middle chunk with the crane. Yeah, that's it. I mean, the Tchaikovsky thing made me laugh, talking about it, but not watching the movie. The rest of the movie is just about, the most boring, stale, worthless, autopilot, fucking geriatric shit I've ever seen. I was bored out of my fucking mind. Every scene is worse than the last somehow. It is not one of the fun bad movies. This is the baddest bad movie in the entire official series, at least so far. I don't quite remember Quantum of Solace that well, but I just thought this was fucking horrendous. Did not like it. For me, it's like a 2 or a 3 out of 10. Roger Moore is awful in it, which is shocking coming from Octopussy. You know, he's pretty fine in that. The Mole? I can't rate it. It does not exist. This movie is bad. It deprived me of The Mole. Fuck you, movie. Fuck you all the way to hell. Go ahead, Troy.
It's not called A View to a Mole. All right, I'm going to start with The Mole because that's our jokey bait answer. And I know people come to this podcast for my hard-hitting analysis.
Of The Mole.
Of The Mole. I kind of noticed the imprint of The Mole at the beginning, but it was mostly gone, and I did kind of miss The Mole. I'm giving The Mole a 1 out of 10 for memory.
The Ghost of the Mole.
The Ghost of the Mole is 1 out of 10. The movie. All right. That's the thing. When people talk about the worst movies of all time, you could easily make a worst movies of all times list of what are the most evil movies of all time. Like, insert your movie you think is the most racist here so I don't have to mention a terrible movie on the podcast. Insert them here.
The most evil movie of all time is Dr. No for starting this series.
That is true. We'll never forgive it. It really is. And it has yellow face in it. It has racist stereotyping and misogyny. That's the hot take. If you remember in our first episode, Jan said Dr. No was his least favorite film of all time. And we all gave him shit for it, but now I'm agreeing with him. But no, the worst thing a movie can be is have no ideas. And be empty and be soulless. This movie should not have been made. This movie should not exist. It has no ideas. Everything is so desperately trying to be crazy. If you've ever seen that meme of that lady in the supermarket with the bag of frozen peas on her head going, whoa, I'm so crazy, making a duck face, that's A View to a Kill. If that was over
you.
But that woman's like 70 years old.
Yes, and that woman's also 70 years old. I love Roger Moore. He's my favorite Bond up to this point. I don't think the franchise would have become as beloved as it was if it wasn't for Roger Moore. I can't begrudge him having 7 movies, but he shouldn't have made this movie. There are no interesting ideas in this movie. Everything is trying to indicate fun instead of actually trying to be fun. Everything's grungy. People are getting shot. And for some reason, it all hits harder because you know they're dying for shit. And that they aren't dying for fun. And I had no fun. And I'm saying in my mind, this looks like a TV movie. It actually feels like the middle half episode of a syndicated action show in the 80s where it's not Sweeps Week and they don't care about this episode. So they're just pumping it out to get it out of the way and to make sure everyone has food on their table. And sure, maybe they fed well, but I was not fed well when I viewed A View to a Kill. It went lower. I already had it at a half star.
You're just doing that to piss
Letterboxd,
me off, Troy.
but it went lower.
You're doing that to spite me.
I do not hear the ravings of a madman. I only know that before this viewing, it was my 34th worst movie of all time. Damn. But now, looking at it again, I cannot say it is a worse movie than Burt Reynolds' The End. I cannot say it is a worse movie than Two-Faced Woman starring Greta Garbo.
Are
it is
these
now
real
the
movies?
32nd. Yes, they
Who
are.
knows?
It is now the 32nd worst movie of all time. It is slightly better than X-15, which is just Jimmy Stewart narrating Charles Bronson blowing up in an experimental space plane for 2 boring hours.
Whoa.
A View to a Kill is the 32nd worst movie of all time. If it was not for how offensive Live and Let Die is, to me, I probably would say it is the worst James Bond movie. Hands down. I love you, Roger Moore, but you made 2 of the worst movies I've ever seen. 0.5 out of 5, 1 out of 10. The franchise had to change after this, and I'm glad it did.
Here. Do you want Paul to go first so that you can have the last
have
word?
the final word.
Sure.
Jake. Okay, I'll be brief. Some of the action was good. There are a couple lines that made me smile, but even the worst of these have that. I thought the title sequence was all right, and the song's a bop. But otherwise, yeah, definitely the second worst. Roger Moore. The other ones I'm gonna have to think about. And no mole, so NA not applicable on the mole. Null and void on the mole.
So how much do you rate the movie?
The movie, 3 or 4 out of 10. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, Jake.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, let us know in the comments. Did Jake just burn himself to a crisp and he's now a pile of ash? Or did he make some sort of point and you kind of agree with him? Let us know right now in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe. Anyway.
Right now, Jake looks kind of like Groundskeeper Willie in that Simpsons episode where he becomes Freddy Krueger. Yeah.
So anyway, my thoughts on A View to a Kill. As I've said before, there are two kinds of Bond movies. Those are the Bond movies that are actually good. And then you have the Bond movies that are so batshit insane and also really terrible that they come around to being just masterworks of art. Most of the Bond movies fall in the middle of this, especially the Roger Moore films. However, A View to a Kill is one of the so bad it's good films. Like I said in the beginning of the podcast, it is the midlife crisis movie where there is so much effort into making this like the most rip-roaring, youth-filled James Bond adventure of yesteryear. Or actually, even a yesteryear that didn't exist, because we have like extreme sports with like snowboarding in the beginning. They're trying so hard to put so much vigor into Roger Moore's final outing as James Bond. I am invested in the plot of this movie from the beginning because there's a lot more emphasis on James Bond trying to figure out what the hell is going on. The direction is also making it so that you're like, oh, what is up with these horses? Oh, what is up with this Max Zorin guy who's laughing a lot and has like these steroid-induced horses? We are completely ditching any sort of pretensions with the Bond girl and having her be an equal to Moore in terms of like, oh, this character is supposed to be like him having a romantic subplot with this. Just like, oh, Tanya Roberts is just there.
This is a woman.
What?
This movie just goes, this is a woman.
Yeah, no, it is
this
just
is woman.
It does the job. It's fun, you know, like it does the job of being a rip-roaring fun time where Bond goes to different places, but there's this agency to him going to these different places. There's a propulsion for him to go from one crazy action set piece to another that is obviously not Roger Moore doing these said action scenes. I am always entranced, delighted, titillated by these scenes of Roger Moore almost dying. This is definitely like the death rattle of the Roger Moore era and a call for a change to a younger Bond. It goes out screaming, it goes out lighting itself on fire, and I'm dancing on the ashes. Fucking 2.5 out of 5. Actually, 3 out of 5. I'm dancing. Mole, I can't rate it because it ain't there, but because Roger Moore is in his midlife crisis mode, I am dancing, and you could either choose to dance with me
life.
or not, but I will always be dancing, and it is not just because this was filmed in the Bay Area. I actually do like seeing Bond like get into action scenes on landmarks.
You are a man driving in the wrong way in the highway and saying that everyone is going the wrong way.
That may be.
If you had loved this movie, you would have stopped us all and talked about how the police chief gets mad at 2 police officers for ruining their car, and then James Bond ruins his car.
Actually, James Bond doesn't ruin the car. It's actually the bridge just closing because the police officer called the bridge to be drawn up. And so that is actually the police chief's fault. So fuck you on that.
This is just something that happens in San Francisco. Can I put a disclaimer in front? I think we have to put a disclaimer in front of this episode that one of us grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area.
We have to put a disclaimer that San Francisco is a fictional place and any resemblance to it is...
And then we have to put a second disclaimer that says Tchaikovsky dicks are fictional dicks and any resemblance to real dicks. are coincidental.
Well, before we ended, I would like to give a brief eulogy for Roger Moore, one of the best James Bonds of all time. He went out on a fucking turd, but
an amazing kamikaze-esque turd.
No, but I thought it was an amazing synchronicity that this is the only James Bond to be awarded the Order of Lenin. And I was just reading, I was finishing this book on Stalin just this morning. And the ending of the book...
Oh, great.
Jan, don't get any ideas.
The ending of the book has a passage that I thought was beautiful. So I'll replace, every time that Stalin's name is mentioned, I'll just replace it with Roger Moore. And it goes... Impressive demonstrations of grief accompanied Roger Moore's passing. In the death of Thros, millions of people centered around Moscow to pay their last respects to the dying leader. On March 5th of 2017, millions of citizens cried over the loss of a red dragon. The same reaction took place in remote corners of this enormous country. For example, in a small village that as soon as he learned of Roger Moore's passing, fell into spontaneous and collective mourning. The generalized consternation went beyond the borders of the USSR. Many cried as they passed through the streets of Budapest and Prague. Roger Moore is dead. Long live Roger Moore.
We have to play the sad dance into the fire.
This was a really weird book that I read, by the way.
Yeah, no, I think, Jan, if you, I noticed you've been referring to this podcast as a 5-year plan for the last 3 years.
No, so this is my great leap forward into chain smoking.
No, I do want to say, if I could say something over the body of the deceased, yeah, we're going to talk about all the different Bonds later, but if Connery went out on a slightly, yes, Roger Moore somehow made Never Say Never Again not the most embarrassing way to go out for a Bond, but he was the nicest of the Bonds. He was the most relatable. He was the kindest of the Bonds, and he made me occasionally, when I'm like, why am I watching these movies about this terrible man? There are moments where he makes me cheer and remember the heroic times. And so, Roger Moore, you kept the Bond series afloat for a decade and a half. And without you, I don't think this series would have survived as the franchise it is. Now, get the hell out, please.
Yeah.
You agreed. It's
please,
time.
we get good movies now.
Yeah, no, we get movies that try to be movies now.
Are we all giving eulogies to Roger Moore's tenure?
Sure, go ahead.
Bond?
Yeah, it's been too long.
Okay, I will say ditto mostly. Rest in piss, old man. Anyway.
Wait, who are you dittoing? Are you dittoing me? Or are you dittoing Joseph Stalin's biographer?
I'll let you decide. Answer in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe.
Engage.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Make a comment about our personal
anyway,
lives under every episode.
Bye, everyone.
What a view to a crappy
Come back next time for some child who gets to play this character.
A Welshman.
Some whippersnapper.
A
A
young
nightmare
kid.
to others.
All right, bye.
James.
Bye.